Hey everyone, welcome to the Sackhoff Show. I am your host, Katee Sackhoff. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful episode. I want to remind you all to stick around after the episode for the hindsight, where we get into fan questions and comments from you guys, and also the emails at thesackhoffshow@gmail.com. So send us your comments and your questions and, let us know what you think of the show. If you hate it, please don't email me. I don't care. But today's guest, I'm really excited for today's guest, you guys. Today's guest I've never worked with before. Today's guest is my friend, Paulina Porizkova. Yes, you guys, I am friends with not one amazing, crazy model, but two amazing, crazy models. Two. Makes me feel really good about myself. Just kidding. Paulina and I met actually many years ago now at a birthday party in Hawaii. And I immediately fell in love with this woman, how smart and open and honest and self-deprecating she is, and just such a genuinely good human being. And we just became friends, and she is just a wonderful human being. If you don't know who Paulina is, you will know her face, I promise. Paulina is one of the biggest supermodels of all time. She was a Sports Illustrated model. She is an author of a new book called No Filter. It's not new anymore. It was new about a year ago. And you'll hear the story why I say new, because I was supposed to interview her when the book came out, but you'll have to listen to the episode why that didn't happen. Paulina was one of the highest paid models in the 80s and 90s with her campaign for Estee Lauder. It was groundbreaking in how much money she was being paid to be the model for this brand. She's just a phenomenal businesswoman. But this episode is less about modeling and more about her life. Paulina has been very, very vocal and visible and honest on her social media, especially starting during COVID, where she really just bared all. She had lost her husband of many decades. It was COVID, and a lot happened in her life that forced her to get through and to grieve, and she chose to do a lot of that publicly. And I think it's a really beautiful conversation. So even if you don't know who Paulina is, even if you don't care about the conversation, I really actually implore you to listen to this conversation, because it's really about grief and getting back up when life hits you hard, and living with true honesty and integrity and joy, and finding yourself at any age. It's really an important conversation, I believe. All of that rambling is to just say that this is a really great conversation, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did. I'm going to get out of your way and let you get to know my good friend, Paulina Porizkova. Thank you for doing this again.
You're so welcome.
For the viewer out there, Paulina and I were supposed to do this 4 months ago.
Yeah, something like that.
A long time ago. And I had flown to LA to do the interview. And I woke up with some of I don't get sick a lot. And I thought to myself, is this the 2 glasses of wine I had? And I was like, no, 2 glasses of wine. Like, you've seen me drink 2 glasses of wine. Like, there's no way. I think that I had eaten something before and woken up. I was literally projectile vomiting. I was at Michael Trucco's house. Do you know the Truccos at all?
I didn't think so. I mean,
No.
unless they say they know me, I don't think
No,
so.
I just wondered if you'd met them just in the whole group of like friends of friends of friends. But I was staying at their house because I often do when I fly in. And I was so sick that they called up, or they helped me, or someone found a person to come and give me an IV drip. And they ended up giving me Zofran, which
boy.
is what our daughter who's going through chemo takes. Like it is the strongest anti-nausea like out there. And I just couldn't do our interview. And I felt so bad.
Oh God, you really like again, like I haven't been there. Like this has happened to the best of us, and it was just like I wasn't doing anything. I was just hanging out at my boyfriend's house. I was perfectly happy.
I know, but I appreciate it. It's not like me to like cancel at the last minute. So I thank you for doing this again.
Yeah,
And
I'm
now it's
like
easier.
you that way. I like when you say that you're going to do something, you're going to do it, and you're going to be on time. And I have an immense amounts of anxiety of like not following up. So I get you.
Yeah.
But most people are way more forgiving of that than you and I, especially, towards others.
Do you think that comes from what you did for a living and the fact that from a very young age you were required to be at a certain place on time? Was that like something that was required in your industry like it is in mine?
Well, you know what? Not I mean, I thought it was required, and I certainly did it. And then after me, there were models that didn't seem like they knew it was required or didn't care, and that was okay too. So now I think it really has more to do with that. As a little girl, learning that my value as a human being lied in uh, getting everything right. Tap dancing for love is what I like to call it.
I really want to talk about your book because I want to talk about your life. I want to talk about your life has changed a lot.
Since I last saw you, yeah.
Yes, but it's
So
changed
has
a lot.
yours.
Even like, when did we last see each other?
Oh, it's got to be like 8 years ago, something
New
like
York? Was it the Pilates class we took with Brian?
Yeah, that might have been it. And it's like eight or so. I don't think you had met your husband yet at this point.
No, I was probably with my ex still.
You might have been, and it wasn't.
It
wasn't a happy. Yeah, it wasn't a happy thing.
It was not a happy time.
No.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. I was not in a happy time either, if you could remember.
No, I remember. And so I want to talk about your book because it seemed like it came to you at a time in your life where you desperately needed to get it out.
That's an interesting, you know what? I didn't even think about it, even though it's oddly enough, it's kind of obvious almost.
Yeah.
You might be right. I didn't know that it needed to come out at that point. I was really, I was suffering. I was in a lot of emotional pain and kind of, felt like I was just caught up in a tornado and it was just never going to end. And I was clawing my way out from it when the book offer rolled in. And when I sat down to write it, which was January 1st, in 2022, I felt like I had already kind of like I had gotten out of the tornado so that I wasn't in that constant, whirlwind thing where you can't catch breath, but I could actually sit down and write. So I thought like I had sort of, gotten out of it and I was able to then recount to you what it felt like to be in the middle of a tornado.
Yeah. So I remember seeing your social media and I remember seeing the moment that you were sitting on your floor in your house with the sweater to your face. And that, I think, was the first, correct me if I'm wrong, like super emotional post or one of the posts where I remember reading that and seeing that and being taken aback by the honesty of that moment because it wasn't normal.
Well, yeah, what we consider normal from celebrities, yes.
100%. And so I want to go to that moment and sort of like, because you now have the benefit of hindsight of that moment. And I think from the outside looking in, that moment seems to have almost inspired so much of where you are now, or at least been like, the tiny piece of, fabric that lit on fire or something. But like, what was it about that moment that you felt needed to be shared? And were you concerned about doing it?
Uh, this is where I can be pretty stupid for not being particularly stupid.
Mm,
I never thought of the consequences of my actions on Instagram because I felt like I didn't have a gigantic following. Maybe I did for a person that's not a celebrity, but for a celebrity, I didn't have a giant following.
mm,
And just I was just living my life, and I think in my day-to-day life, I didn't have the support that I wished that I had, and that I still think I kind of missed out. And there's a plethora of reasons for that. Some
mm,
of that is because of me.
mm.
So because at home, so the moment of that you're talking about, that's kind of like, yeah, it might have opened the door a bit, and then it just like all kind of walked in, right? Or walked out,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, my husband had died. I was he had disinherited me, which I found out 2 days after he died. I didn't know what my financial things were. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I had to sell my house immediately because I had no money. And it was COVID. I was trying to sell a property in a city that was like the dying capital of the world. Like
Right.
none of this was good. And then, there was so much to deal with. And I tried to be strong for my children, you know, because they were obviously, my sons were suffering as much as I was.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I was trying to be, I was trying to let it be known that I'm still the captain of this ship. I got this. I got this. I
Yeah.
will sail us to port. Like, you can rely on me. Um, and when you do that, nobody helps you.
Mm.
Everybody figures you got it. And I didn't know how to ask for help. I think in my whole life, I'd never knew how to ask for help. And I am just figuring this out now, that I need to learn how to ask for help.
Yeah.
And so that bathrobe moment, which was a bathrobe, it was his bathrobe I was
Was it?
holding.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny, I'm like choking up now. It's so funny, like grief overcomes you at the oddest moments where I'm totally happy, but
Yeah.
the memory pinches. Uh, the bathrobe moment was me trying to ask for help in a sort of a very indirect way.
Yeah.
And here's the other crazy thing, that the place where I actually got help was online. That's where I got little pieces of the empathy that I so needed. I didn't
Mm.
get it around me in my real life, but I got it online. And so I guess I turned more to the online community than I did to my own friends.
What do you think it was about your friends that prevented them from being that support system?
Well, I think it was the that I acted as though I didn't need to be
Yeah.
supported. That's on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I've gotten very good in my life to act as though I don't need anything. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm eminently capable. To my own destruction.
Yeah. Where did that come from? Like, was that because I have a bit of that in me?
You do?
And oh God, yeah. Uh-huh. I suffer from it desperately. And it came from like the good child syndrome.
Oh,
Like the
tell me about the good child syndrome, because mine is from a slightly different source. So this is
is it?
curious. Uh-huh.
So the good child syndrome, and I call this that even on set till this day. Like when you're the one that doesn't need to be saved, when you're the one who doesn't need hand holding, when you're the one who can do it themselves, when you're the one who steps up, when you're the child who is off reading or playing by themselves and doesn't need to be entertained, when you are a self-contained like entity that can just do it. um,
And you have to do it on your own because,
Well, I think that when I was younger, I did it on my own because I think I was applauded for it.
yes.
That is where I received my first bits of praise of,
Mm,
look at this good girl. Look at how great she is. Look at how self-regulated and managed she is. And so I learned to just do it. And then on set, I took it into my professional life where I never got directed by directors
mhm,
because I felt like, well, I'm the good child. I'm over here and I've done it and I'm succeeding. And so they don't think I need the help. And it breaks you.
mm,
It breaks you when you don't have people help because they're
mhm,
helping everyone else.
mhm,
Like, where's my validation? Where's my help? Where's my direction? Where's all of that? I'm so tired of doing it all myself, you know? And I learned that later in life as well, because I was proud of it for so
mhm.
long.
Ditto. I was very proud of how capable I was. In fact, my older son, Jonathan, and this is still like quite a few years back. Well, he was already grown, maybe 18 or 19. He's now 30. And we were, I think it was a birthday or something of mine. And it kind of went around the table saying like what people like the best about me.
Aw.
And, and Jonathan said, or like, what was a great thing about me? And Jonathan said, my mom is the most capable human being I have ever known. There's nothing she can't do.
Mm.
And I was so thrilled when he said that because I thought, he knows. He knows that that I'm putting in all this energy to be this person. He's noticed because I kind of felt like his dad never really noticed. So it was really nice that one of my kids did. Um, but yeah, and that it has the drawback of, well, if you're so freaking capable, then nobody will help you. Then, people will go, oh, you got this. Oh, okay. So, can I borrow some money? Or,
Yeah.
I need something from you because you got it. You're good.
Yeah.
And that really doesn't work when you crack and then you need help. And I guess that was my moment where I cracked was, my husband's death and all the other shit that came with it. And it was really incredibly difficult to carry by
Mm.
myself. And hence I built an online community. And completely not, this is absolutely non-manipulative. It just happened because
Yes.
maybe because I'm stupid, because I went and tried to get um, empathy or be heard somewhere else but at home, because I didn't realize it was because of me. I thought it was because my friends just were also full up and didn't have the time for me, which might have also been a part of the story.
Mm.
COVID, everybody had their own tragedies.
Yeah.
So just to go back, so you like what you're calling the good child syndrome, the best child syndrome. That's what I call tap dancing for love. Uh,
Mm.
and it's something. I did that since I think I can't even remember, but mine was more that I seemed so unwanted that I had to be really good to get to stick around. Like I felt like, like the thing that had crawled into the house, and as long as I played it really small and obeyed all the rules and served everybody else, they would let me stay. But the moment I had a need, I'd be out. we don't want you, go away. So I worked really hard on serving others and staying small.
This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. I love the holidays, but with how busy they are, I am always looking for ways to stress less. And HelloFresh helps make mealtime manageable for me and our family. You can save valuable time during the busy holiday season with fewer trips to that grocery store thanks to HelloFresh Market. There are over 100 add-on items you can add to your weekly box, like quick breakfasts and packable snacks, beverages, and so much more. And right now during the holidays, I have to tell you, one of the things that is most important to me is taking that valuable time that we have right now and spending it with the ones that we love. And like I've said before, my daughter loves the kitchen, and the card for HelloFresh is so easy for even a 3-year-old to understand, which is awesome. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free Katee. Applied across 7 boxes, new subscribers only, varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/free Katee. That's FREEKATEE. The moment was not lost on me when I looked at the date of the post, and it came a year to the day of Rick's death.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh.
Yeah. It was like a year later. And it was, it sort of was remarkable that you'd held it together as long as you did, I think.
Yeah, I was, the thing about, just speaking from my own point of view, obviously, the suddenness of his death, the shock of his death, the walking in and finding him dead, it anesthetizes you. Like, I couldn't feel anything for a really long time. I just, again, I was caught up in this whirlwind, but I had no feelings. And it didn't start thawing until about a year later is when I started thawing. And that's when things got the most painful. Now when people reach out to me that have had partners die, and I've had a few women reach out and just say, I'm starting year 2, and I know that this sucks even more.
Yeah.
Things that you don't know before they happen.
Well, I think that trauma, people always say, like, you're so strong. I couldn't do what you've done. And it's like, you can, because you get through it. And the alternative is to not get through it.
Exactly. The alternative is to die. So,
and you do what you can. And it's almost like the brain's defense mechanism of protecting you and giving you the ability to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. I guess remaining flexible and accepting that it kind of is what it is what I have learned now. Because I always fought against the current. I always thought that I could control it. I always thought that I could handle it, as we were just saying.
Yeah.
Like, my immense strength and capability will make me somehow be able to not only conquer it, but win. And
is that where your anxiety sort of came from? Like, was that because you're a big planner, right?
Yes and no. I'm a big planner who can then be incredibly impulsive.
That is my ADHD. So I feel like we're the same human. I love planning because it helps me mitigate risk.
Exactly. And anxiety.
100%. But I am really impulsive.
Wait, what sign are you again?
Paulina, we are a day apart.
Oh, no fucking wonder. Oh, oops,
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's my show. We say fuck all we want. I am the 8th, and I think you're the 9th, right?
Yes.
Of April?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
the same place. No wonder.
I want to thank you, though, for that post, because so during COVID, I was like holding everything together, like many people were.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I was the person that people turned to because I was like doing the workout videos and holding it together and keeping my head up. And like, I'm always a really positive person. And I saw one of your posts with you crying and I
Oh, yeah.
went, and I just started sobbing. It gave me the permission to cry. And I did the thing. And I picked up my phone and I recorded it for posterity. And I was like, it's happening. And I'm crying. And I am so happy and scared and relieved and sad and all of it. And I put it on social media. I just did the same thing that you did and was like, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do it too because I want to cry. And Paulina's made me feel like it was okay to do that. And so I'm going to do it for other people. And I don't care if you think it's voyeuristic. It is. It is. 100% it is. I was actually excited to look at my face crying because it had been so long since I had actually cried like that I needed it. And it felt very good.
Okay. Well, I'm crying a little bit right now. So, oh God, that really, I can't tell you how that makes me feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's enormous.
But it did. And it gave permission to other people.
Yeah, that's the essay in my book, the essay called "The Crying Lady of Instagram." When I bumped to some young woman,
Some kid, or yeah, it was a young woman.
A young woman, slightly inebriated.
You're her.
Yeah, just kind of like, wanted to chat to me, and I thought she has me confused with, I don't know, somebody at Brooke Shields, whatever. Because there's no way she knows who I am. And then she said, you're the crying lady of Instagram. And I realized what an enormous compliment that was. That's like, I was so proud. And that moment has stayed with me ever since. Now I'm adding your moments onto this. Thank you, Katee. Of daring to not be perfect, of daring to be vulnerable. And yes, like you said, yes, of course it's voyeuristic. You hadn't seen yourself cry for years, and I did nothing but cry, to the extent that I was bored with these endless tears. And I started, like, while I'm crying, I'm thinking about shopping lists and like what I should clean. And I wonder what this looks like. Like I was crying so much that I was just bored with myself crying, but I couldn't stop. It just kept going. And I had been like you until that moment. Until that moment, I had been the girl who never cried. I took such pride in never crying because I was always, as long as you don't cry, you're the strong one. My boyfriend said something yesterday. We have these lengthy emotional discussions all the time. He's like the smartest person I have ever met. And I mean, emotionally intelligent, which is rare in a man.
True.
Yeah, sorry, guys. But
but you can work on it, guys.
Exactly. You can get there. My boyfriend proved that it exists. And he said something, we were talking about vulnerability. And I was thinking about how vulnerability, telling people like, my childhood scars, or somebody that's telling me about, the terrible things that happen to you, and that is, you think that is vulnerability. And he said, showing old scars or new scars, showing scars is not vulnerability. It's showing an open wound.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, shit. That's right. The open wound. Until that moment that I posted myself holding Rick's bathrobe, until the moment that I posted myself sobbing, which, by the way, was incredibly ugly. Now when I've seen it, just kind of go by, I think, oh my God, it's it's ugly to watch. Now I have to watch you.
Oh, there are no pretty criers in the world, by the way.
Not if they're doing it right.
Yeah. Well, mine was not, I don't think mine was a video. It was just a picture. So mine was not as brave as yours.
It's still incredibly brave. It's incredibly brave because you are, I mean, even like in your work life, what we are used to seeing you as is like kick-ass, the kick-ass girl, the kick-ass woman. Like she can take them all, she can take it all on. She's,
Yeah.
with the guys.
Mhm.
And we as a society celebrate it, and that's the sad part, is that that's what's celebrated. Because it's kind of what keeps us back. If anything, it prevents us from having true connections to other humans, as I have come to discover now at
Yeah.
59. I'm just discovering this now. I'm like, oh, oops. I didn't know how to ask for help. And so I fostered a sort of an inauthentic me to other people. And so some of the friendships that I've had in my life, that lifelong friendships,
Yeah.
suddenly don't work anymore. And that's a
Yeah.
very sad thing. And it's not just them. It's half me.
Yeah, of course. But that is a very honest, evolved way of looking at it. Like, I think that, you can look back at your life and the relationships that we've had, and you can be, so many people choose to be victims and say this happened to me. But I think we have to take responsibility for our 50% of it, because for whatever reason, we were a participant in that relationship and it served you to some extent, and you got something out of it, or you wouldn't have stayed. And so you have to take responsibility for your part of relationships. And that's not easy. It's much easier to be a victim.
Yeah, it's just easier to blame things on somebody else, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this, because this to me was something I never really realized until I did the work. A lot, like you say, a lot of, and I had probably a longer time of bad habits than you, so took me 3 years to work it all out. What really shocked me is that difference between how I feel about the man that I love now and all, the preceding times, is that that he makes me, and this kind of sounds weirdly selfish, but I don't think it is. He makes me feel wonderful about myself. And this is the first time ever in my life that I feel wonderful about myself in the gaze of a man that looks at me. And I know I make him feel the same way. We're like, oh, I don't feel like there are things about me that need to be fixed, or that I would be good if only X, Y, and Z. No, he looks at me and I see this like reflection of who he sees me as, which is a fully fledged, fully formed person who deserves to be loved.
I love that. And it is, but that's love. Like, that's true love. Like, that's mature love between two people, like, it's not, my relationships before existed. I was always at arm's length. I was always made to feel less than myself. I was always told what was wrong about me with withholding love or threats, or, I was the problem. I was the this. I was the all of these things. Like, if you could just do better, I would this, Katee. If you could just.
Exactly. Were you crazy and needy?
Oh my God, I have been so gaslit in my life. Yes, I was crazy and needy, and only you need this, Katee. Why?
Yes, exactly.
Why do you need this? I, at one point, like many, many, many years ago, had an ex say to me, because I was like, why are we not married? We've been together for like almost 10 years, and he goes, I need you to figure out why you need it so much.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And yes, it does beg the question. And you are with him because
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. So
because
what do you think it is about Jeff though? What do you think it is about him? Because I want to know more about your relationship. I want to know so much. Like
ah
I want, but I want to know how you found yourself open again to love.
um I I think I think that I am a person who processes my life best through connection with others. I don't think everybody's shaped that way. I think I am. My actually my 3 years of being very single out of an entire life where I was sort of in service to somebody else, taught me that, yeah, I can be single. Like, sure, it's fine, but I don't enjoy my life as much as I do with somebody else sharing it.
Mm,
And it could be a friend, it could be a girlfriend, like, it doesn't have to be a man, but I am a sharer. I see things better when I have somebody to, like, the bird that chirps on the branch to me is more interesting when I can talk about it and
mm-hmm.
and put it into metaphors that somebody will listen to and go, "Wow, that is so cute." Whatever. I just I like to be with people. I'm a social creature.
Mm,
Um so I knew that I wanted to find love again. I knew I was incredibly hurt. I I had a I was going to say I had a really hard time trusting,
mm,
but I still have a hard time trusting. So that's just something that's, like Jeff likes to say, he's sticking around, he's not going anywhere, and eventually I'll figure out that he's worthy of my trust. So
mm,
I'm learning it slowly. But as for love, as for, the joy of seeing the world together with somebody else, I always knew that that's my happy place. And so I will find it. I'm a fighter,
mm-hmm.
like you. I'm going to fix what's broken with me that has made me make the wrong choices. I'm going to figure out what my right choices are. I did a meditation for a year every single day for an hour. This is out
Oh,
over
Jesus.
therapy and tapping and reading self-help. Like, uh, every day, this meditation thing in which it's kind of a guided meditation. I think I got it on, like, the Insight Timer or something. Somebody recommended it, and it was a meditation that takes you through your childhood and holding yourself when you're a kid, and then blah blah blah, on and on and on, and then towards the end, this woman tells you to imagine your mate, like the four most important things that you can't do without in a potential mate. Like, focus on those and then call them out to the universe. Now, this is all kind of stuff that I always thought was like, the woo woo stuff. And I'm so not into that. Like, yeah, right.
No,
Sure.
you're pretty pragmatic.
I'm definitely pragmatic. And
Yeah.
I don't write little notes and put them on, like, boards, and, because I think life will give it to me if I just ask. Hell no. I'm like the opposite. I don't even ask for somebody to, like, help me to
I
carry a
know.
bag. So of course I'm not going to ask for the universe to give me a boyfriend. That's stupid. So I didn't do that, but I did go through the characteristics, like, what is important to me in somebody that I'd like to share my life with. And I sort of narrowed it down. I went through a whole, I had a long time to go through all different installments, and I narrowed it down to courage, intellectual curiosity, um, not being intimidated by me. They're like doing something so that they won't be intimidated by my work,
Mm-hmm.
and being sexy to me. I mean, it's so little. It's so little. And I just went, you know what? I don't need any more than that. And then I went to a psychic who said, do, like, imagine your perfect man. And I told him, no, I already got it. I got those four. And he went, that's it? I was like, yeah. And I was like, no. You like really make a really proper list. Like, how tall is he? What does he look like? I'm like, I don't care. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is this. So I know I'm not asking for too much. I'm just asking for this. And I think knowing that this is what I needed and this is what I wasn't going to give on, when I met Jeff, well, it was on the dating app, so it was like meeting Jeff.
Who meets not on a dating app these days? Like, I mean, come on.
People my generation still sort of look down on the apps.
Do they really?
Yes. They think they feel like there's something inauthentic about that, and they bemoan, real life meetings.
But you'll never meet anyone if you're not on the apps.
Well, that's how I feel. Especially the older you get, the more necessary the apps are. Quite
you got to
frankly.
look outside your zip code.
I would have never met Jeff. He lived in LA. I live in New York. We would have never met if we weren't on an app. But within we started texting each other, and he had my phone number within 10 minutes. Well, probably because he mentioned that he watched I, Claudius when he was 13, and it made him passionate about the Roman Empire history. And I was like, you're the man for me.
You are the only person that I know that would have been like, there's my guy.
Yeah, that's so hot. He said that. He was like, the 13-year-old me could have never imagined that my passion for the Roman Empire is what would have been, and my 8 year of Latin is what would have made me really sexy to a supermodel. Oh, there you go.
But that's the stuff about you that I think that people that look at supermodels objectively, which is, that's how we've how you did look at them. Like you looked at a supermodel for the clothes, for the body, for the things, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I think for people that look at supermodels objectively, there is a stereotype that is completely, for the most part, for all of the models that I've met in my life, I have not met one of them that. Well, maybe one. The
same one that I'm thinking of.
Probably. That 100% fit that. Not at all. Yeah. It's literally what you do for a living.
Exactly.
That's it. It's not who you are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Can I just bask in your words for a moment, because it's so true, and I don't think it seems like nobody actually knows this. So, gosh, I'm appreciating your validation. Thank you, Katee.
But it's so strange to me that anybody would think that you don't go past the end of your nose. You know what I mean? Like it's you are so, just having known you for the little that I know you, you are probably one of the most well-read people that I have ever met. Oh. Like it's literature and writing are such a huge part of your life, that it actually doesn't surprise me that Jeff was it's the right person for you.
Oh, you can translate Latin mottos from plague columns in Europe. You're so hot. Yes, that is my thinking.
That's
process.
My guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did Jeff? Are you guys relatively the same age?
Yeah, he's gonna be 61 this year, and I'm 59, so we're a year and a half apart.
Okay,
but it still makes him a baby boomer, and I'm a Generation Xer, which I love because I have that over him all the time.
So oddly enough, Gen X, I think, is the largest generation, because I think I'm a Gen Xer.
You're kidding, really?
But I'm also 6 months away from being a millennial. So I'm that weird generation, that 80s kids that got lost because they were like, well, you sort of count as this, but you're also sort of this. When you met Jeff, he obviously had to be aware of you. Your face, who you are, as a model, was everywhere. Sometimes I pinch myself that I know you and we're friends.
That's hilarious. But you were just a wee little babe. I guess that's when you were the most impressionable. So, okay, fine. I'll take that. Thank you.
I also had a brother.
Oh, is he older?
And a father.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. But
Those
no, I mean, like,
Sackhoff men have good taste.
they do. They
Uh-huh.
do. They do, ma'am. Was he aware of you as a model? Did
Yes.
he have
Yes.
an idea of who you were going to be, and like was just like what happened?
Yeah, I love his forthrightness about this because in my 3 years that I went off and dated like a maniac, I mean speed dating, and also a little bit before the man that I actually had a little bit of a relationship with. Men tend to they fall into two categories with me. They will either pretend. They will either, and they're like men my age, right? And they'll do the like, well, I know who you are, but I don't care. Like, you weren't really on my radar. You were not really my type. Like, they would literally say these kind of things. These are the kind of men I used to go for. I'm an idiot. No longer. And then the other kind that, I would go on a date and, he'd be a couple of drinks in and then he would go, well, my friends couldn't believe it. I was like going on the date with a supermodel.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, well, you did go on a date with a supermodel one date.
One time.
One time. And that's it. So there was like no real middle there. It's like they either won't admit to it or they're like all over themselves. And Jeff, when we connected, he was like, he wasn't pretending he didn't know who I was. He's like, yeah, Paulina Porizkova, you were married to Rico Kasek, a great band. He also didn't diminish my husband's music, which a lot of the guys that I've gone out with would. Did.
Like they feel like putting down the work of your husband for a long time would in some way like make you feel good about them. Like you must hate Rick or something.
Yeah, but even like without the like they had to sort of pee on his memory, I think, is really what it's kind of just like a territory thing. Like come over and piss all over the place. Make sure that their scent is on the walls. And that's not, I don't enjoy that. Obviously my husband and I, there was this, the will thing and all the money and all that. It was I have very mixed feelings about my husband, in grief, but I'm not mixed about having loved him for 35 years, which is most of my life. And that I will love him to the day I die. That is not going to go away, no matter what the relationship was like, no matter where it went. That love, that energy doesn't go away because he ended up being a bit of an asshole at the end, or that he died. No, it's still there. So anyway, so Jeff kind of he put it right out on the table. It's like, yes, I know who you are. And we decided to chat over Zoom because he was in LA and I was in New York. So we were going to have a Zoom chat with T. Very, very, very proper. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so we did. And we were, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. The Zoom chats got longer and longer, glasses of wine. I think 6 hours was our longest conversation. That's 6 hours over Zoom. It's a long time. Yeah. So by the time we met, we knew, we did, all the talk was it was really just about physical, are we attracted to each other? Like, how do you smell? Right. How do you kiss? Right. And he said to me, he was consulting on some TV show.
Because Jeff is a writer, correct?
Yeah, he's a TV comedy writer. So he worked on first season of Friends, and he was on for a long time on Will and Grace. That was kind of Desperate Housewife, etc. So he's a writer and he's very talented and he's very funny. But he said he was in a writer's room, and as he was talking to me over Zooms, and he said, and it's interestingly, the women in the writer's room picked up that on there being something like different, and they were going, Jeff,
Yeah.
what's up with you? Like, what are you smiling about all day long? Like, well, there's something going on. And he's like, yeah, I'm talking to this woman, but she lives in New York, and this one woman, he said, she's like, oh, come on, tell me, just tell me who she is. And he was like, I kind of don't want to because she's known, and I don't know where this is going, and so I'm just wanna. And she's like, just give me the initials. And he went, PP, and she went, Paulina Porizkova.
I love that.
So
I love that.
yeah, so he never pretended otherwise. He's like, yes, yeah, I know who you are. I loved your husband's band. And but in his mind, he said he thought we were going to become really good friends because he's got a lot of friends that are girls, women. And he's like, we're going to be friends. She's not going to fancy me, despite of my 8 years of Latin. This is like just going to be a nice, we're going to meet each other one day, and we're going to become friends. So he had no idea. I'm like putting on black lingerie, and I'm thinking, if he kisses good, I'm taking him home.
You're like, if he kisses good, it's on. The parts are going to fit.
That's it. That's pretty much what happened. So
do you listen to the Cars at all?
I am not able to listen to it yet. I hear it. Sometimes you are in a supermarket or the car or something, and I will hear his voice. And initially, the first year or 2 years, it would be like it would be like somebody stabbed me. Like I would just double over and have to like run out, turn it off. Like no. The last time I heard Rick, a song, it was, I think Jeff and I were in Europe, oddly enough, and the Cars are not a big band in Europe, and we had just done something specific. We walked into this place, and there was my husband's voice. And I just sort of looked over at Jeff, and I just said, I think he's saying, hi,
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're happy. So I like now it feels like little messages of like thumbs up, and Jeff will report like little happenings like around the house where he had a dream where he was trying to make my children, who are still somehow small, like cereal, and he was all sweaty and freaked out about getting it wrong, and Rick was standing close by, and Rick kind of looked at him and he's like, it's okay, you got it. And I just think, it's like little messages, whether you believe the woo-woo stuff or not. And I'm far more inclined to believe it these days. Like, just take it and use it in a sweet way. It's a little fond, a little sweet remembrance of love, allowing you to keep loving.
How are you navigating it as a mother? Like, how are your kids doing?
My kids are, the lucky thing for me is that my children are grown-ups. So my 30-year-old is getting married in a month. So amazing.
Wow.
My younger one he lives in Philadelphia. He's 26. They know Jeff. They love Jeff. We hang out together all the time. They have some interests in common. They go off with their nerdy camera monologues, or like prog rock bands of the 1970s. Like, you guys got that. Enjoy. It's very sweet, and I've tried to foster I've tried to foster sort of a feeling in the house and around us that will permit Rick to be around all the time, so that they're never afraid of talking about their dad, celebrating their dad, throwing their dad in the mix. Like, just like seeing a TV program going, oh, my dad really loved this. And then I
Yeah.
keep trying to celebrate that. So that, so that it's, so he's always a part of our lives in a good way, you
Yeah.
know? I think that's really, really important for my sons. And that this is one thing that was incredibly difficult for me to be able to do. I don't know that they know how difficult it's been for me to get there,
Mm.
but the reward is in the results.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so curious. One of the things about your social media that I find so interesting that I identify with and experience as well is the sort of like the negativity around your positivity.
Oh,
What
Lord.
some of the comments that you have, and I love that you do this because I have done this too. Like, if you publicly shit on me on my
Mm-hmm.
page, like if you come into my front
Mm-hmm.
yard
Mm-hmm.
and you piss in it,
Mm-hmm.
I have the ability to it is my right to take a picture of you peeing
Yeah,
and put it out there because you
absolutely.
did it on my
Yeah.
property.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't make you do this. This was your choice.
if you want to go talk shit about me on your page, I'm not going to seek it out. But if you come into my front yard, it's my, I'm
And
allowed
take
to
a
do that.
dump. Yeah, I will absolutely hold you responsible.
So, because just because I'm a public figure doesn't in some way mean that I'm not allowed to defend myself. Like I kind of want people to, and I applaud you for sometimes showing the amount of hate you get. It shocks me. What is the thing that surprises you the most about that kind of shit?
Uh, Let me see if, well, you know what? I am not sure if anything surprises me, Katee.
Mm,
That's kind of the plus and also the drawback of having been a child, not really a celebrity, but having been known since I was a little kid, and
yeah.
things being said about me that were completely out of my control, and sometimes horrible things were said about
Mm,
me, and I like, I can cry all I want. It's not going to change it. So I'm pretty used to people taking shots at me and certainly calling me old and has been. I kind of feel like, oh, well, thank you, because you're playing into my narrative beautifully. You're letting everybody else see exactly what I'm talking about. Ageism is, alive and healthy.
yes,
Um,
it is.
yeah, so it's, sometimes it's like I almost get it, like I almost appreciate it because it just kind of strengthens my point, the
Mm-hmm.
one that I'm trying to make. I think, and this okay, so surprising. Trying to think, is it surprising? It was maybe the most oddly hurtful thing was a
Mm,
comment not long ago, which some person said, and I've had this before too, obviously. So in the same vein, and this comment was, "Oh, you and your boyfriend are off spending Rick's money on
oh,
vacation."
Jesus.
And that pissed me off.
It should piss you off.
Yeah. There's so many things wrong about that.
What is it about that pisses you off?
Uh, the assumption that a woman does not have the right to I guess the money that I've made, and also that my being a mother and a wife and taking care of my husband for 30 years has no value.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, I wasn't told that when I took it on, and I should have really paid it more attention. But even if I never worked a day in my life in a marketplace and made money that way, I freaking like this. I made this man's life possible.
Yeah.
Um, Without me, he wouldn't have been able to have children. Without me, he wouldn't have been able to take care of them. He wouldn't have gotten food or coffee or whatever.
Of course.
And the devaluing of what is sort of almost thrown at us as like a duty. Well, you're supposed to do this. And no, you are not supposed to get paid for it. You're supposed to just dedicate your life to serving others with no recompense. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
just traditional misogyny. And that pisses me off.
And raising children, FYI, having now had them, is so hard. It is so hard. And like, I am exhausted. And I have help, and I am exhausted because I am juggling multiple things.
Yeah.
As you were, a career, motherhood, supporting your husband, like keeping the house, like all of the things that go into it, whether you had help or not. And I'm not saying that you did. I don't know. I'm saying about myself.
Yeah.
It is still hard. Like sitting on the floor and staying engaged, playing fucking Frozen for 6 hours is really hard. And I wanted it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I am tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired, and I can't even drink anymore because I wake up hungover.
Yeah. Oh, God,
Because
being hungover and being a young mom does not mix.
No. Oh my God, no. It is, and you deserve, whether you are a man or a woman who takes that on.
Yeah.
To if there's if the marriage dissolves, then you are entitled to be paid for that. Your time, that's why it exists.
100%. And I, like now when, when people come to me and they're like, do you have any advice for women? And I'm like, I don't think I should give anybody advice. It's like, just look at me and see where I fucked up, and then you'll know what not to do. But one suggestion would be, if you're going to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, know your worth. Make sure that there's a certain amount of money that goes into your bank account, or that there is some sort of agreement that your work is as valuable as his. Yes, fine. He's, he might be providing the roof over your heads and the money to eat, but you're doing everything else. And if he had to hire somebody to do it, how much money would they make?
Yeah.
It's unfathomable to me that in 2020, well, actually, you know what? It's not. I mean, we just lost our ability to make decisions about our bodies. So why should it surprise me that we also don't get, that it's assumed.
The support.
Yeah, that it's assumed that we, that we should do all of this because I guess that's what we were bred for, or that's like, that's what a woman does. And that's where you're not quite yet, but all women eventually will be, is at the end of that, where you have raised those kids and they fly out of the house and you're finally free and you finally have a moment to take a breath and go, yay, I can live my life now. And everybody goes, no, what? Go mind your grandkids. We don't want.
Now you're too old.
You're too old. You're not, nobody wants you. Move aside, Grandma. You've had your time. Well, actually, no, I haven't.
Yeah. Number one, I can tell you exactly what the going rate for a nanny is these days.
Oh.
You want to know how much a nanny makes, people? More than a teacher.
Oh, shit.
More than probably a doctor. Nannies make almost 3 figures. And that is not, and I am not talking to you, you guys, I am not saying that this is, this is a qualified child caregiver who comes with references, most likely a college education as well, is making a phenomenal living. So if you're at home, staying home with your children, you're at almost a 3-figure salary. And that's not just in, Los Angeles and celebrity homes, guys. That's the going rate. That is the going rate for for staying home and helping raise children.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money because it should be. It should be.
Because it's a hard job. Yes.
Yes, it is a hard job. It is a hard job. And also, like, FYI, you look so fucking gorgeous. And I mean, you are the champion of aging gracefully. You
Or
have,
aging disgracefully, as I like to think of it.
well, does it surprise you sometimes that like people don't know what a almost 60-year-old woman's face really looks like?
No, because I don't know what an almost 60-year-old's face looks like. I have to look in the mirror most of the times to know what that kind of looks like, kind of. Uh,
Yeah.
no shade to my mom, who is very beautiful and a kick-ass woman, but my mom had plenty of work done. And so by the time she was 60, I can't tell what she looked like. So I can't tell what I'm
Yeah.
going to look like naturally because she had stuff done. Um, and I look around and I can't, it's really hard to see people who mirror my face. There's some out there, but you kind of have to dig around a little bit and find it.
Mm.
And again, this is not throwing shade on women who have chosen otherwise, because it's fucking hard to age being a woman. Yes, you suddenly find all these doors closed. And if you are single, or if you're trying to get a job now that you've raised your kids, or you want to join the world in any sort of a social way, your looks are a part of the entrance fee.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot easier. It's actually a lot easier to have Botox and a little bit of filler than it is try to change the minds of all these people in the bank where you're, interviewing for a job.
Yeah.
So uh, I absolutely understand what's going on, and why not everybody makes the same choice as I do. Or, choice that I'm making right now. I mean, I might make a different choice in a couple of years. I don't even really know. Uh,
What was the reason for the choice? Like, did you just sort of get to a point and realize you hadn't done anything and go,
huh.
oh,
You know, this is kind of fucked up, but a part of the reason was this guy that I was going out with, who kept remarking to all of our friends all the time that we would have dinner with him and he'd go, "Oh my God, you look so young. You look so young." And he was 5 years older than me. And he never said it to me, ever. Never told me that I looked young or that I looked younger. Sometimes he'd say kind of messed up things about me looking my age or something, but attractive, but your age. Um, and then um, um, and then when he broke up with me, uh, he thanked me for changing his mind about 50-year-old women being, sexy. That, because he could never see a 50-year-old woman as viable. He's in his 60s at this point. Um, and then, of course, he went off and hooked up with a 40-year-old.
40-year-old.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that gets me is like men in their 60s are dating women in their 40s.
Yep. And when you go on dating apps, because I've had so many like people go, "I can't believe you were on a dating app and you got like 4 dates." Like in the 3 years on
Yeah.
Raya, I had like 5 dates. Um, and Jeff said, "Well, yeah, because you can set the age preference. So of course, everybody his age is setting the age preference up to like 50. So yeah, they will miss out on me, and Sharon Stone and Charlize Theron, or whoever else happens to be a little over 50, they'll miss out
Yeah.
on all those women. But they prefer that, I guess, to going out with a woman, God forbid, around their age. Wait, now I've gone completely off topic. No, sorry, you were asking me about the choice. So it's not, so
Yeah.
the thing is, it wasn't really, again, it's not really, so many things I do are not conscious choices. I just sort of fall into them and then it feels right. And so I stay. Um, when this guy left and it made me feel so terrible about my age, I thought, so I have two choices. I can either go to a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon and have that fixed. I can
Mm.
start looking like I'm, vaguely in my early 40s again or mid 40s. I will lose the movement on my face, but I will be smoother and prettier.
Mm.
Um, and I will find more of these kind of guys. That's
Mm,
not what I want.
mm-mm.
I want to find the person that's going to see me for who I am and love that. And so
Mm,
I just might have to do a lot more looking. And so
yeah.
I kind of did the work on that side instead of on the face side.
Hmm. Um, I married a man 10 years younger than me.
Yes. How lovely and congratulations. But not so much on that as on that he looks like such a decent man and you seem so
Hmm.
happy together.
Hmm. Thank you. Um, he is probably the best man I've ever met. Like, he is patient and kind and incredibly smart and very funny and so talented and so capable. And he's everything. And when he loves me, it validates who I am. Or
Right.
and I know
Yes,
that sounds
yes.
weird. I know that sounds weird because I don't want everyone to be like, oh, you needed a man's validation. What I mean is, if somebody that good
Mm,
thinks I'm good, I must be. And it just gave me instantaneously, I became the person I always was, and the person I always wanted to be, and the person I thought I was, because this wonderful person loved me for who I was, not for who I could be, not for who I used to be, but for who I am in this minute. And he loves me.
this ties to the kind of front end of our
Where we
conversation,
started.
which is when you are loved, what really changes when you know that it's love and it's not a trauma bond.
Mm,
The difference is that the love, instead of feeling the butterflies of what you think love is, I keep oh sorry, I'm just like now I'm totally jumping. Bear with me for a second. Um, the butterflies that people talk about when you meet somebody and you get the
yes.
butterflies, right? And we all think that this is how you're supposed to feel about, like, that's the chemistry. This is what you need in order to have a relationship.
Mm,
Uh, in my case, I came to realize that those butterflies were actually cockroaches because all that was happening to me was that I was identifying my childhood trauma, I was recognizing it, and I was going, ooh, give me that emotional unavailability. I'm right here.
this feels comfortable.
This feels like home. This way, please. So when I met Jeff, I didn't have those butterflies or
Yeah.
cockroaches. I had a whole different sensation of, I think it was like sunshine. It just poured sunshine into my life, into all these shadows where you see things better and clearer. And I see myself better and clear. Um, I can I can live without it, but damn, it feels nice.
Mm, mm,
But yes, we got around to this by talking about our
yes.
faces
Aging.
and aging, and the man that looks at you the way you are when you're at your worst, and you can tell they don't have to say it. They just
Mm,
look at you, and you know that they think you're the most glorious creature on earth,
mm,
and it's not necessarily about beauty. It's just like, I love all of this about
all of
you.
it.
Yeah. There,
Yeah.
and it's really like the first time in my life that I've gotten to feel this way because
Mm,
there was always like a, set of assumptions about, I mean, I think that my husband, as, as long as our love affair lasted, I think he did see me as a rather beautiful object that he owned, that he
mm,
possessed. And so he was, it made him look better, the fact that he had me on his side.
yeah.
And our marriage started tanking roughly around the same time that I was entering perimenopause and menopause. So it made me feel, society doesn't want you. Uh, your brain's turning to mush, and your husband doesn't want you either. So not a
Yeah.
great trifecta.
Mm. Mm. Well, I love the person that you are. I think that you are such a role model, and you are you're so smart, and you're so funny, and you're just like a ray of sunshine and honesty and authenticity, which is just so lacking. And I think it's really, really important. And I'm so happy that you are happy.
Katee, thank you. And since you're basically me, but somewhat younger, I don't need to repeat what you just said to me because it goes both ways.
Oh, well, bless you. I literally have so many questions that I didn't get to,
I'm
just because I
sorry.
love talking to you. No, this is what it's supposed to be, and it was gorgeous. But I have one more thing where I ask a weird random question from a box that is
Okay.
not one of my questions, and then we'll be done. And it's a rando, so I'm just going to pull it, and it usually is. It used to be sex questions.
Oh, I like sex questions. I like sex.
Well, we can do a sex question, Paulina. Where are the sex cards? My husband took them out of here. Oh, wait, I found the sex cards.
Oh, he took them
Let's do
out, did he?
Well, because he was like, you should probably stop asking people about sex.
No. Oh my God. Oh, he's being very polite, but it's like, I think we should talk a lot more about sex.
This is wonderful. But it's as if we're partners, as if we're lovers, Paulina. Okay. If we decided not to have actual intercourse, but still wanted to do something sexual, what might we get up to? As it freezes.
It literally froze the second that you started reading the card.
Perfect. I'm going to ask another one.
Okay.
Because it felt a little too like you're going to start describing sex acts to me. Okay, wait.
I possibly could. Yes, I'm a little bit.
This is actually a really good one.
Oh.
How was your sexuality shaped by your family?
By my family? This is kind of actually a really good question. I think, all right. So I was mostly raised by my grandmother, who was super religious in a country where you were not supposed to be religious. So it was all sort of undercover. And we used to go to church every Sunday, and I would ogle, barely dressed Jesus on the cross and get kind of like vaguely sexy thoughts about men in general and Jesus in specific. So that was like my...
You had a good bod up there.
Yeah. And it's, perhaps no surprise that I've always liked these kind of lanky men, or at least in the beginning when I didn't know any better. And my mother is a total feminist. My mother lived in Sweden for a long time. She brought me to Sweden, and in Sweden I learned that sex was a healthy pastime. I mean, grade 3, we were told about masturbation, and that everybody should this is what masturbation is. This is how you do it. And you should all go home and enjoy it. It's good for you. And you should do as much of it as you want. It's literally, this is a part of, educational system. So in a way, I think societally, it's my views on sex are really more societal than family. Because America is a very prudish country, and you do keep sex very private. And so, yes, I do think it falls into the, what have you learned about sex in the family? But for me, it was what I learned about sex out in the world, which was that sex is a wonderful, fun thing to do. And, you need to watch out for X, Y, and Z, because it's possible to get pregnant, it's possible to get STDs, etc. But, condoms are at the school nurse's office, and it's in Sweden, it was very sort of demystified sex. It was literally it was like a game of tennis, that you do on a private court. It's good for you. You're encouraged to do as much as possible.
It's good for your heart.
It's good for your heart. It's good for those arteries. Uh, so to me, sex is still that. It's like a healthy, fun pastime. It's something that, again, being older and, going into my 60th year, there's so many women that in America that I hear saying, I'm kind of glad that I'm over the whole sex thing. Like, I don't really need it anymore. Um, it's menopause has sort of turned me off of men. Menopause, la la la. And I think,
Mm,
and I looked at my mom, who's takes HRT, as am I, and she's like,
yeah.
I am not trading those babies for anything because I'm going out with an orgasm. This like I'm not interested in I don't even care if it shortens my life by a year. I'd rather my life was a year shorter with orgasms. I'm
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
totally second that. So um, I see sex as something that is sort of almost necessary for having a happy life.
Mm, I agree.
Oh,
I agree.
oh, good. I'm
And we
glad.
could have an entirely other conversation about HRT, which we'll do next time because I concur.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
It's
I
the
concur.
yes. Thank God that that the Americans have finally come around on this. The Europeans have been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 for sure. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me
Oh,
and
Katee, it was
as
such a
usual, being
pleasure.
so open and wonderful and honest and kind
I just
and
feel like
smart.
I got to see Katee again and have a really cool in-depth discussion, which was mostly centered on me. So thank you for that. But there's so many
As it should be.
things. Nah, well, but gosh, you have such an interest, and I have so many questions for you, which I guess I'm going to have to ask in private at some other point when our
It's true.
paths coincide again. But
Yes.
and also, and this is like just, on sideline, my boyfriend's a huge fan of Galactica.
Battlestar.
Yep, and he's kind of made me. I'm a big Star Trek fan, but I
Mm,
didn't know about Galactica. That's when I was having children and doing other things.
yeah.
I wasn't didn't get to watch TV. So he's rewatching the whole thing, and I'm watching it for the first time. And so I'm seeing you and Trisha uh in
Yes.
this stuff, and I am marveling. I'm just like, oh my God. Um I'm so glad that I didn't entirely miss it, that I am kind of, because it's a significant. I know that you're doing so much more, and you have, and your careers are opened up and gone to all these other places after, but wow, what an amazing series that was.
It was
And you
wonderful to
must
be a
be
part of.
so sick of hearing about it, but
Not
I'm
anymore.
just,
In hindsight, Paulina, it's so easy to talk about. I think right after I was like, ugh. But
yeah.
like now, I think enough years have passed where I can objectively look back at it and I don't see myself anymore. I think it's because I was so young. I could be that character's mother.
Actually, yes, you could. But within that, I saw a part of a Katie that I feel like I got to know a little bit. And then, an actress. I mean, it's
Of
not
course.
you, but it was, I was kind of I was a little bit in awe because I didn't realize how important and significant those female parts were at that time in the history of TV.
Yeah.
And you and Trisha and Mary
Yeah.
playing the president, like they were such incredible female parts that you guys like mastered to 100%, and it was a
Mm.
delight. It was a delight
Aw.
to see it. That's
Thank
yeah.
you.
So anyway, just thought
Well,
I'd
I
mention it.
like Jeff. I appreciate him introducing you to it.
Yeah, now we
um,
have to watch the new ones.
there's, I'll send you a list.
Great. Awesome. No, I think
um,
I actually can figure it out for myself. I don't think you need to send me a list. But
no.
yes, fellow Aries lady to fellow Aries lady.
Yes.
I remember us biking down a path in Hawaii and talking about men, and
Yes.
both having it so catastrophically wrong.
Having it so wrong. God, having it so wrong.
Mm.
But thankfully, we're both humble enough to have figured out our part in it and righted the ships.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here we are.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes. Ditto.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Hey everyone, welcome to The Hindsight. I am joined by my producer's lounge host of my Costas hostess.
Hostess hostess?
Jeff, are you my Costas hostess?
I don't know if I know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Don't want to commit.
You're now the Costas hostess.
The Costas hostess. I mean, I do live on a coast. So do you, but...
But you're not a hostess.
No.
Are we allowed to say hostess anymore?
Yeah, you can say it.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
I feel like not to get political, because we know we don't get political on this show, but I feel like now with the new president, I feel like you can say whatever the fuck you want anymore.
That's true. You're allowed.
You're allowed.
We finally restored freedom of speech in this country. Finally. You are...
I'm in Germany.
Are you in Germany? 1217?
No. So if it's 1217... Excuse me, I just had a little tiny burp.
It is 1217. Katee, what are you talking about?
1217, I am back from Germany. I have done my cookies and cocktails with Katee last on Saturday. And my husband has left me out of town with 2 children.
Oh.
As he should. I do it all the time to him.
Yeah, it's not like you've never done that to him.
Like, he didn't go for milk and not come back. Like, he is legit coming back. But it's about time. Like, he never does anything for himself. And I go out of town. Granted, I go out of town for work, but I go out of town constantly for a weekend. And whether I'm working or not, I do get to recharge a little bit. Like, even if recharge means have a glass of wine too much, you know? Which brings me into perfectly into the Paulina episode.
Yeah.
Jeff, you were, so this was, when I had just started working with you guys and we were still audio only. And I flew to Los Angeles to interview Paulina when her book, No Filter, had just come out. I was staying at the Trucco's house. I had flown in for some doctor's appointments to California. I had done those, had lunch, I think at the mall, and then gone to Michael Trucco and his wife Sandra's house. And Michael and I started drinking at 4:45. Now, when I say drinking at 4:45, not too much. We had a glass of wine.
Yeah.
We had a second glass of wine. We opened another bottle and had a third glass of wine. At that point, I was ready to go to bed. And at that point, the Callises came over. So James Callis and his wife at that point came over, and people drank more. I had one more glass of wine. Now, I say 4 glasses of wine. That's, for me, not hangover-inducing amount of wine. That is, you probably need to chug some water when you wake up, but that is nothing that like an Advil cannot cure, right? I was so sick that I was projectile vomiting. And not when I first woke up. Here's the crazy thing about it. I was fine when I woke up. I woke up, I had some coffee. I went to a doctor's appointment via Uber. They live in the Hollywood Hills. On the way home from that doctor's appointment, in the back of a car, going up the windy canyon of Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
The moment I got to that house, I walked in the door, Trucco was standing there, and I went, and I ran upstairs and started vomiting. I was supposed to leave to go interview Paulina in like 3 hours. So I called an IV drip company who came to the house, gave me an IV with some Zofran, like we talked about in the episode, which is like anti-nausea for cancer patients.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got that real Hollywood treatment.
I did. I stopped vomiting, but I fell asleep for 3 hours. I was so sick.
Here's my question. Is there any other type of vomiting than projectile vomiting?
Yeah, there's like the vomiting that like, oh God, I feel like crap. I'm going to make myself throw up because I know I'll feel better if I can make myself throw up.
But it's still coming out of your mouth.
Of course it is, but like more controlled because you're ready for it.
So projectile vomiting implies uncontrolled vomiting.
Projectile vomiting implies not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And not only does it happen, it doesn't stop.
It just reminds me of college when I think of projectile vomiting, because the amount of times we would like leave a bar and one of my friends or me once or twice would just turn, vomit somewhere, and then be like, all right, where are we going next?
Fuck me. I have never been that person. I have never been the like hangover vomit person. I have probably vomited from hangovers or food poison, whatever it is, 3 times in my life, 4 times in my life. And usually it's also like associated with like, oh, you had sushi. So you never quite know, you know what I mean?
I don't like vomiting. My problem is it goes the other direction.
Oh, you get diarrhea?
Bad. Yeah, it goes the other. You have those emergency moments for me are more like I got to find a bathroom now.
Yeah. Do you don't have IBS? You just have lactose intolerance?
Yeah, but it's not from that. It's usually just from, like you said, sushi. The last time that happened to me was I ate some bad sushi, and it was like I was in New York and I was walking back from the sushi restaurant to my hotel, and I got halfway there and I was like, oh no. And it's the kind of thing where like we've really derailed this conversation. But
people can identify with this. They're not going to want to, no one will admit this, but everyone can identify with this. You start to sweat and you realize there's nothing you can do.
And you can't walk faster, because if you walk faster, it's only going to make it worse. So then you're doing that sort of like waddle home, just really hoping that you don't unloose something. Yeah, you're clenching, just hoping something doesn't come loose before you make it back.
I mean, I have heard of people, and this is not me, but like, because I probably wouldn't tell the story if it was, but I have heard of people that in my friend group who have been so sick, like you're referencing, that they have literally gone behind dumpsters, like in alleys. Yeah.
Boy, it's my worst
like with
fear.
IBS, like not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that is here's another segue into vulnerability.
There you go.
Because you talk a lot about that with her in this, and it's sort of a shame that we're talking about diarrhea right now, because it is you guys had a really beautiful conversation.
We'll probably cut it out, Jack. I listened to this episode again and in preparation for the hindsight, and I was again crying.
It's a little wild, and I looked a little bit further into her story, and it is sort of just it was a tough time for her, because she was going through a divorce at the time from her husband when he got sick, and she was caring for him, and then he suddenly died. And then the fact that he had written her out of his will and his 2 sons too. Yeah.
I think that people don't understand. I think that, and I get this a lot just from myself, and we've talked about this a little bit, that people just assume that every actor, every model, every musician, every public figure that is in entertainment is rich.
Yeah.
I get this a lot where, look, do we have a comfortable life? Absolutely. Do we have millions of dollars in the bank? Absolutely not. Like, you know, it's I don't think people get that. And so if you have been married to someone happily you know, like, and or even let's take happily off, and let's just say you've been respectfully married to a person, and you know you've cohabitated for
It's a
decades
classic
of your life.
respectful marriage.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just mean, like, if nobody's cheating or hitting or like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, you've just had a marriage for decades, and you are married to someone who makes a lot more money than you do,
Yeah.
and they leave you out of their will.
Yeah.
And not only that, contentiously take you out of the will
Yeah.
because you've asked to be separated. And I understand why that was jarring,
Oh, yeah.
because she thought they were best friends. Like,
Yeah.
even though the marriage didn't work, they
Yeah.
thought they were, she was caring for him.
And it all happened right around COVID too. So it's a tough time. I mean, that time for everybody was stressful. And then to have that happen on top of it, you know, it's, yeah. And I mean, that leads to this post she put up, which led to this whole new, you know, community she found in her life, which is, you know, the lesson being, if you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you can find all this coming out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you talk a lot about men not being vulnerable, and I don't know what that's about.
I think you know, I think the majority of men, and I still believe this, it's gotten better. I feel like the majority of men, and maybe it's because of the stigma that they have, or maybe it's because of the social media attacks they get if they are open, but I find that men are not publicly vulnerable, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And women are, it's much more socially acceptable to be vulnerable, you know?
There's definitely a higher social price that men pay for publicly being vulnerable. It's
I think so.
considered, you know, it's changing for sure, but it's historically not a thing that men are rewarded for showing.
No, of
Yeah.
course. No.
So it comes out in different ways for us. Like when I see a commercial where someone's being nice, that's when I start tearing up on the couch. But then like something actually bad happens in my life and I'm like, that's fine.
Right? You're like, I'll
Yeah.
be all right.
Yeah.
I'll be all right.
Yeah.
I identified so much. I mean, I know that she and I joked about the fact that we were, you know, our birthdays are a day apart. But I identify so much with sort of her, what did she call it? Tap dancing for love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've talked about this before where I said that, you know, so much of the things that drove me to succeed in life were trying to attain to a certain level, thinking that I would get my dad's approval. And my dad is a wonderful person. Like, he's still in my life. I love him, but he is hypercritical.
Yeah.
He is still hypercritical to this day. He holds no punches. He tells you whatever he thinks, and he tells you he loves you, but he's not like warm fuzzy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's gotten more so in his old age, but when we were kids, he was not. His dad died when he was 14. He was never shown how to be vulnerable and how to show love, you know?
Yeah.
So I always tried to succeed and excel at things because that meant, you know, he would pay attention to me.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart when other people talk about it because I know how that feels. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that is probably pretty common with a lot of people, you know? I mean, I think it just goes back to the culture that we have in not just this country, but everywhere, you know, like men are not vulnerable, so they're not showing their emotions, which leads to a cycle of people always trying to get that approval and appreciation, especially from fathers and sometimes from mothers, and it just keeps going. I mean, I feel the same thing, you know. So it's, you called it, what did you call it? The good
child syndrome.
Good child syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that, and I used this in regard to my brother. My brother is a very smart person, and he is he is full-fledged adult these days, people. uh, but, when we were kids, my brother got into a lot of trouble. And so he got a lot of attention. And I was consciously aware that my parents didn't have time for me to also be fucking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did the opposite.
Yeah. I feel like if I talked to my brother and sister, they would probably say something similar because I was always getting in trouble also.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was always a bit of a rule breaker, and I was the type of kid that was always, when there was a rule, I would always be like, well, why is that a rule?
Yeah.
And get in trouble for
Did you ever
questioning the
fight
rules.
with your dad? Like, did you fist fight with your father?
No, I never fist fought. My mother and I fist fought. No, we didn't. No, my mother and I had verbal, like I would bring her to tears constantly because I was just the little shithead that always wanted to like push the boundaries of everything constantly. And, I think to this day now as an adult, I always tell my mom, I'm like, I am so sorry. I don't know why I was so shitty to you when you were just trying to help me.
It's true.
But
it's true. Yeah. I mean, my brother, like he did a lot of drugs. He did a lot of drugs and got in a lot of fucking trouble.
Yeah.
Got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I also like, there's a big takeaway from this as well. I think there's so many big takeaways, but I think one of the other things was the acknowledgement of like, you really do need to check on your friends that you think are okay.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID. Like that was a really hard time for so many people. And I think that just in general, I think it's really, really important to check on your friends that seemingly have it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. Just send a friend a text right now and say, how you doing?
Yeah.
Somebody that you think is, there was something that I think both of you spoke about. It's around the good child thing, but the idea that the people that we look at and think have it all figured out and have it together are the people we think to check on the least. And those are usually the people that need that check-in because nobody's asking them, and they're repressing it. They're putting it down because they think, they know that they're the person that people look to. So they say, oh, I can't feel this way. I'm going to put this away. And so nobody asks them that. They're not dealing with it. This is why I'm in therapy, because it's a space to talk to somebody about that stuff. So,
yeah. But a lot of people don't do talk therapy, and I think that's the thing that like about this episode that made me, or during, granted it was that when I first saw Paulina's post, it was before children, before marriage, before all of that stuff. But I think now it's sort of like I have these overwhelming moments where Robin and I both do, where we just sort of sit there and like, sometimes I just like start crying, and we've had a really, really, really hard 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And even before that, it was like, start dating, then, COVID happens, then we move in together, then we build a house, then we get married, then we have a baby, then our baby gets cancer, then we just decide to move, then we move, then we have another baby, then our baby's cancer comes back. Then it's like, it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And when you're going through something like that, I was talking to a friend today and I just brought up like sort of like off the shoulder brought up Jenny's cancer and she went, whoa, what? And I was like, wait, I didn't tell you this? And she was like, no. And I went, oh, right. Because you have a 1-year-old. I purposefully didn't tell people who had small children or were pregnant. Because anyone who has small children does not want to talk to someone whose kid has cancer.
Right.
Because it makes it so real.
Yeah.
And so I don't talk to anyone. I talk to my husband about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You've also fostered in a similar way to Paulina, you fostered an online community of people. You know, you're open on your social media about that stuff. And I would imagine that, you know, I just see from, you know, the emails we get and stuff, like people are very supportive of you and your health journeys with Jenny and everything. And I imagine that helps a little bit.
Yeah. Have I told you, and I'm sure I have I told you the starfish story yet?
I believe you have, but I'm blanking on it right now.
I'm sure I have, but like, there's this big storm and there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of starfish have washed up on the beach. And this little boy is in the distance, just throwing them, picking one up, chucking it back in the ocean, picking one up, chucking it back in the ocean. And this old man walks over to him and goes, you know, you're not helping. There's too many. And he goes, help this one. Chucks it back in the water.
See, now that's the kind of story that makes me want to cry. That's like, it's just,
you know
like
what I mean?
The dumb little things like that are very important and meaningful. They get to me now.
Because you know it's true the older you get.
It's true. And it's just like, the older you get, you realize that the world is a very cruel place. And the only thing we can really do as people is help the people around us. And that seems like a small thing, but like you're saying in the story, to the person that you're helping, it's an incredibly meaningful thing. So that's checking in on your friends. That's, you know, going out of your way to just be nice to somebody, to hold a door open for somebody, do something. And it's just that little bit of thing that makes the world a slightly better place, because everybody's going through shit. Everybody's suffering. And if you can just do that for one person, it's probably going to come back to you eventually. And it's a nice thing.
I know. It matters. It really matters.
My big takeaway from this episode was that guys named Jeff who like the Roman Empire can date supermodels.
I love that that's what you took away from it, Jeff, because I was kind of hoping that that's what you took away from it.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously have a lovely girlfriend.
Sure. No, I don't. It's not for me personally. I just like the idea.
That Jeffs are succeeding with supermodels in the world?
Jeffs who are also obsessed. I'm not obsessed with the Roman Empire, but I am fascinated by it. I'm totally the thing about what are guys thinking about. I'm totally that guy. I mean, I went to Italy for my birthday last year specifically to see all the Roman Empire stuff. And
I love it.
Dating supermodels. I'm just happy that my people are doing well.
Your people. Paulina is so intelligent.
Yeah, she's great.
And not just like, oh, like you're smart, like super fucking smart.
It's super unfair, isn't it?
It's just like the world is unfair.
Told you, it's cruel, Katie.
It really is. You know, the first time I met Paulina, like I said, I was at a birthday party in Hawaii, and I was there. There were 3 women and myself there. Paulina Porizkova, Trisha Helfer, and Joss Stone.
Oh boy.
And myself. And I was like, you know, life is fucking awesome. Like this is like my group of friends, like in this moment. And and just everyone's so talented in their own right and like absolutely amazing. And it was just like, I don't know, I you know, sometimes I look around and I pinch myself like who my friends are, because I'm like, what? In what world does that make sense? But it was a really fun birthday party. But I love Paulina's like, she gives me like the courage, and it does take a little bit of courage, to age gracefully.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knows what a real 50-year-old face looks like anymore. They all think you just fucking look like J-Lo in the morning.
Not the ones that you see on TV, but you know, the rest of the world sees it.
Well,
you know,
I want
maybe not in your elite circle of friends that you're talking about here.
Jeff, there is like
supermodels.
If you've got J-Lo on the right, like with her fucking glow and like beautiful skin that like has no wrinkles on it whatsoever, and you have your Aunt Pam, who like you know, who drinks a liter of Dr. Pepper, you know, every day, and you know, eats, you know,
Yeah.
fried chicken out of a pot pie.
Yeah. And too many prescription pills. Yeah.
All of the prescription pills, and like
Yeah.
thinks exercising is walking to the mailbox. If you've got those two, there's so much in between there.
It's true. That's true.
And I just want like normal, like in the middle to like, I want that to be socially acceptable now to like, to have wrinkles on your face and not have people blast you online for looking like shit when you're like, hey, that 55-year-old that you're talking about that doesn't have any wrinkles that you just compared me to, they've had a facelift and tons of filler. And I know because I know them.
Yeah.
You know
know
what I
their
mean?
doctor.
I know their doctor. And so it's one of those things where you're like, it does take, like, it's not the bravest thing that's I've seen. Like, like I've said, my daughter is much braver than I will ever be. But it does take courage to not care what other people think and to not be manipulated or swayed by external validation of what people think you should look like when what they think you should look like is not real.
True. Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Please.
I wonder how that falls on certain ears, because Paulina is just naturally a gorgeous woman. I mean, she's a supermodel.
Of course.
A lot of the people in the industry that we know, they're naturally gorgeous people.
Of course.
And so they have sort of the double end of the spectrum where they can age gracefully because they're going to be gorgeous no matter what age they are, but they're also succumb to these pressures where they have to maintain a look, and there is a lot of thought that goes into their head, which I'm sure you feel as well, where it's like, what do I need to do to maintain this certain level of how much of my worth is wrapped up in what I look like, and versus Aunt Pam, who maybe wasn't born as blessed, and we might say, lucky. The genes say a lot. Like and so for those people, like, why they may not be going and getting, like lots of facial grafting work and everything like that, they are still putting a lot of stuff into their appearance because they have to do a little bit more work than somebody else does. So that's my devil's advocate.
I know it's true. It's very true. And I appreciate that. Like, it is one of the things that if you read the comments in Paulina's thing, everyone's like, oh, boo-hoo, you're still prettier than 99% of the women your age. So I do understand that. But at the same time, you're also still allowed to be insecure because it's all you ever have known, and it's all relative. I read this it was like a brief study or something where it said that people who are good-looking individuals, statistically good-looking, will have a harder time aging and will actually do more to their faces that it will actually shift. And the people that, because they've almost got this dysmorphia where they're doing the fillers, doing the Botox, doing the facelifts, that by the time they get to 60, they don't look normal anymore. Because they're chasing this youth and this beauty that they've been associated with for so long. That was their baseline. So it regardless, I guess, of where you started, it's always weird to see yourself age.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what you're responding to, if I can be so presumptuous to assume. But I think you're responding to the fact that women like Paulina, and I know you mentioned Mary, you admire in this aspect too. I think what you're responding to is their opposite response to it, and like just allowing themselves to age gracefully. It's not necessarily about how they look, it's about their response to their looks as they age versus like, chasing that youthful look that you're never going to get. It doesn't come back unless we invent some weird science. But, it's like, they seem to have made peace with it in a way that I think you admire.
Yeah, I do admire it because like it is hard when somebody, you know, comments on, social media that like, wow, you've gotten old,
Yeah.
or you still look good, or, you need to wear more makeup, or you need to do this, or you need to
Yeah.
do that, because people also think they associate me with potentially something I played 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I grew up on camera.
Right.
So yeah, my face changing is also jarring for you. I get that. Me getting older means you're getting older. It's not easy.
You should just start asking these people to post selfies when they comment on your look. Just like, let me see what you look like.
God, sometimes I want to. Sometimes I want to, Jeff.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Because it's people are just mean. People are just mean.
It's a cruel world. Be nice.
It is a
to
cruel
people.
world. It is a cruel world, you guys. But anyway, I hope that episode was as interesting for people listening. So
I thought it was a very engaging and moving conversation for somebody that, while I think a lot of people know who she is, I don't think her name is as well known now as it was at one point. But I think it is, we get a lot of comments from people on the guests that you interview and how people don't automatically expect them to be interesting interviews, but then they do end up just being these interesting conversations. And I think this one definitely comes across that like this, she has a story to tell that is really compelling.
Okay, so let's get into the mail sack.
Mail sack. We're going to the mail sack. Mail sack. Why are we calling it mail sack?
Someday there's going to be a supercut that comes out of all your dances.
I'm limited to what I can do, though. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as I get my new chair, I feel like, because I've got more space, I'll have more space.
Have Robin rig up some lights in there for you to...
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
We need a disco ball.
There you go.
You guys, if you don't know what the mail sack is, it is where we answer all of your comments and your questions and your emails. It's the sackhoffshow@gmail.com. We also are answering comments on YouTube, Instagram, also Apple reviews. We're basically going through all of your comments all the time, and that's the mail sack.
Yeah, no way to not get a hold of us.
There's no way to not get a phone number. We don't have a phone number.
Not yet.
One of these days we'll put Jeff's up.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Old Man Gaming UK says, well, now I need to know what Starbuck thinks of 2021 Abu Dhabi fiasco.
This is in reference to F1.
This is relation to what is the
So I looked it up,
fiasco?
and apparently it is something happened with two drivers where
Hamilton,
and I don't remember Hamilton and it starts with a V.
Verstappen?
Verstappen, yeah. And
you mean so basically what he's talking about is how the race was stolen and given to Verstappen and he won the championship?
Yes.
Yeah, and Hamilton's never recovered from that?
Yes, so I think we know what Starbuck thinks of it.
It was stolen.
From what I understand, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know enough about it. So there was a safety car was put in, and then they reset the track in the wrong way so that he had an extra lap, or Verstappen had less laps or something like that to do, and then was able to win.
Yeah. So
your definitive answer is it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. As a huge Hamilton fan and a huge Mercedes fan, F1 has a history, in my opinion, of manipulating seasons to be more interesting. And I think that when you have someone like Hamilton who won 7 championships, it's boring. It's just like Verstappen now, who's won every single championship since then.
Right.
It's boring. So now it's really interesting because now maybe it'll be interesting if Lando Norris wins this season. So I don't know. So I feel like sometimes they call races based on who they want to win.
Now, if it was as bulletproof as you would like it to be, would it be as interesting?
I don't know. I don't know because, I feel like there's a certain amount that, maybe they should just have the same stewards for every single race.
Yeah.
And I might be calling them the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Robin usually helps me figure this stuff out. I love Formula One, but I'm new to all this bullshit. All right. Great interviews, but.
Yeah. First off, I want to say that this is from an Apple Podcast review as well.
Oh my God, I fucking know what this one is.
Do you want to read it or we
So
skip
it's
it?
from it's gonna be _all right.
Mm-hmm.
4 stars instead of 5. You are my only 4-star review,
Yeah.
but you've brought my entire score down.
No, you're still at a
Because-
5.0.
Am I still at 5.0?
Yeah,
Okay.
or we might have gotten another one that pushed us back up.
Okay. Well, great interviews. Missing 1 star because Freddie Prinze Jr. has not been on the show yet. So you're going to dock me my livelihood and be a... because I haven't had on Freddie Prinze yet? Like legitimately, that's...
The people are voting. They're voting with their stars.
It's like my Uber score or something.
Well, the reason I put it on here was because I wanted to tell people if they haven't left a review yet on Apple Podcasts, please go leave a review and make sure it's 5 stars.
And if you want to leave a 4-star review, don't.
Yeah.
Just don't leave one.
Yeah. Or unless you want Katee to call you which there might be a contingency out there that would be into that. So thank you for your review though.
Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
We should get Freddie Prinze on. I believe I've asked, and I don't know if he's said it yet. I actually was trying to get he and Sarah on
That'd
at
be
the
good.
same time. I thought that would be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Jake says, as a guy, I must comment that pockets are amazing. Who needs a man purse when we have cargo shorts with insane carrying capacity? My wife loves to give me crap about my beautiful cargo shorts, and then 12 seconds later turns around and hands me stuff to carry due to the amazing pocketage I bring to the table. If I can't be good looking, I will be useful, damn it. Jake, you would be so much better looking if you had a man purse than your cargo shorts. Don't wear cargo shorts. It's not 2004.
I feel like Jake might be being a little facetious here. But,
I think he is too, a little.
But yeah, I think cargo shorts are making a comeback with the Gen Z though.
Fuck me.
But their
I'm
whole
sure
style
they are.
is basically designed to just piss off people that are older than them, I think.
Everything about them is just to piss off people older than them. Man, do you remember back in the day when you would have cargo shorts on, or like the guys would have cargo shorts on? Because there was a time also where, I mean, I'm from Pacific Northwest, so very grunge, very snowboard culture. I also snowboarded. So like I also wore baggy cargo shorts a lot when I was growing up. And you'd always like shove beers in the cargo shorts. And then if like the cops came or like someone's mom came, you had to run away. You had like fucking 6 beers. You had a 6-pack in your pants.
Yeah, that's all they're good for.
Do you remember that? Oh my God. Oh my God.
No, I grew up in the golden age of cargo shorts, cargo pants. It was everything.
I mean, I get it, but I do love the idea of a man purse. I wish that Robin, I've tried with a few, but he hasn't fallen in love with any of the man purses that I have tried.
I carry one all the time. I don't call it a man purse though. I don't know why it needs a name. It's just my bag.
It's a bag.
It's my bag. My bag.
It is
a
bag.
The kids in the hall. My pen.
I never watched
that?
Kids in the Hall.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Isn't
that a Canadian show?
Yeah. Deep cut. Anybody out there that knows it will know what my pen means.
My pen.
Yeah.
So it's almost Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Christmas plans.
We are 1 week away from Christmas.
And you know what comes out next week? Our next episode?
It's our Christmas
It's our
special.
Christmas special.
With who, Jeff?
With our buddy and your husband. Robin is coming back
Hey.
for our Christmas episode.
He
No
is coming
guest
back.
except for Robin. Robin's going to be our guest, and it's going to be a full hindsight episode with just the 3 of us hanging out, talking
Yes.
Christmas.
And then after that, we're doing our best of 2024, aren't we?
Best of 2024, yeah.
Okay, so we will see you guys next week, next Tuesday for our
That's not
Christmas episode.
That's not our catchphrase.
It's not our catchphrase, but I am changing it up.
Yeah.
I'll see you next Tuesday on Christmas Eve. We'll see you next Tuesday on Christmas Eve for our Christmas episode with my husband and Jeff. It's going to be awesome.
That's
what's up.